You're listening to the Public Finance Live podcast series, brought to you by the PF editorial team directly from SITFA's 2025 annual conference in Birmingham, England. You can listen to our full series of episodes on the big issues being discussed at this year's conference by searching PF Live wherever you get your podcasts or by visiting the podcast section of the Public Finance website.
Hello there, I'm Martin Reed at Public Finance Magazine, and I'm your host for this Public Finance Live podcast. This episode is called Making Life Simple for the Community at TechnologyOne, and I'm joined by TechnologyOne's local government lead, Emma Foy. Hello, Emma.
Hi, Martin. Hi, everyone. Yes, I'm here at Public Finance Live. We've been here for the last 3 days as headline sponsors.
Absolutely. Emma's here to talk to us about West Lindsay Council and how this TechnologyOne customer can now rely on the information its software produces, knowing it comes from the same source at a much faster rate. She'll be explaining how the council can now model various scenarios depending on different future funding scenarios. Okay, so Emma, firstly, you mentioned those 3 days. I imagine one highlight of that was the session you were involved in yesterday. I was taken by just how many people were in that hall for that particular presentation.
Absolutely. So yesterday we did a session really reflecting on the local government reorganisation and amalgamation that took place in Australia, in fact, across Australia and New Zealand, but we particularly looked at the state of Queensland, 157 authorities down to 97. It was much more of a forced amalgamation. They didn't get the choice of who they went with, but much of the drivers were the same. So I think we had a lot of people interested yesterday to try and understand what some of the lessons were, and also to understand how technology can be used to make that whole process easier.
Okay, so we've got to start with the fact that you are a bit of a poacher turned gamekeeper. Can you explain?
This is my second run as poacher turned gamekeeper, actually, because I started as an external auditor, and then I became a Section 151 officer, and now from a Section 151 officer, I am now industry lead at TechnologyOne. So yes, my second transformation, if you like. It's an interesting one. I think anybody that knows me knows how passionate I am about local government and about transparent finances in local government. But having used TechnologyOne, implemented it and used that, and I will talk about that experience with West Lindsay, I really figured out that this software was more than a bunch of Australians disrupting the market. It was something different, something new, and something very, very easy to use. And we implemented it very quickly. And yes, I was so passionate about the software, I took a job with the organisation.
Okay, wonderful. So going back in time slightly then to the council, can you give me a sense of where the council was prior to engaging with TechnologyOne, and what then obviously you subsequently were able to do?
Yeah. So we were, West Lindsay is a rural district, fairly small population, but has a surface area greater than the whole of Greater Manchester. So very, very rural, only 90,000 population circa. So we had real challenges delivering services across such a vast space with poor communications, poor roads, poor public transport. We wanted something that our staff would be able to access. So they'd be able to access a financial software from any device, from anywhere, and most of all, if they're out on the field or between places, because when your frontline services have to travel what can be an hour and a half from one end of the district to the other, we need something that we're not relying on them to get to their end destination before that they can take a fast decision. So for us, we really wanted something which was focused around any device anywhere. I think that's the first thing. The second thing, we were nervous. We had a legacy system, one of the largest risks for all local authorities, probably the principal risk on their risk register is cybersecurity. We wanted something that we knew had IRAP had cyber security, cyber essentials, ISO 9001, had teams following the sun round the clock, monitoring what was happening with our software. So that was also really, really key. And the fact that the organisation rewrites the code every 7 years also minimises that ability for somebody else to break into it. So I think cybersecurity was really, really important.
That's an interesting commitment. So that's happening in the background as CPD.
Yeah, we don't make it easy for ourselves here at TechnologyOne. If it's not hard enough to deliver already, we make things harder. But that's important because you need to make sure that our community has a secure software. So I think that was really, really important. We also wanted to have a user interface that was really easy and simple for people to use.
Okay.
One of the things that we've seen over probably the last 20 years is the role of a service manager has changed. So when I first started in local government, finance was decentralized, and in each service area would be a team of accountants, management accountants, support. When 2010 came, and before, but especially in 2010, we sort of invented this role of business partner. And the idea of the finance business partner was that they added value and they added knowledge, but they didn't necessarily do the day-to-day budget management. But in order to get the budget holders and the service managers to do the budget management, you need to make it look so it doesn't look like an accounting task. And you need to make the software feel that they're not in an accounting system. And I think that is absolutely key and crucial. And that's something that we found in the TechnologyOne solution.
Do you think that focus on interface and consistency of interface is going to be increasingly important as we move into the world of AI, bringing in aspects of service provision that, because you mentioned, of course, that the role of public finance for the professional has changed, and there is an increasing focus in the future on managing rather than just simply administering.
Absolutely. So what we need to be able to deliver into the future, we don't have the funding to be able to spend that on transactional resources doing things. We need the software to take care of those low-level, high-volume transactional services, and be that through machine learning, AI, good interfaces, APIs between software. It can be any of those things, but we need to focus the funding to those hard services that you really do need the resource. They cannot run through the likes of AI, through the Internet of Things, through machine.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to look at something that you mentioned as a goal of the company: completely integrated and transparent financial management, supply chain management with budgeting to optimize operations and long-term sustainability. Now, there's a lot of buzzwords in there, but it's a no-brainer, logically, to do this. So what's the bottleneck at the moment?
So the idea of what we have is that everything is on one platform and it's very easy to access. But every piece of software will give you those buzzwords. Every piece of software will say that it's more integrated. But we're the organization that's got, 60 different modules which provides either everything the local authority needs or integrates with it, so that you can have one set, essentially, of Power BI reporting that sits across all of our software. It's real time. To be transparent, to be accurate, to be timely, we need to be able to pull that information down at any time. We can't wait to the end of the month for somebody to update some numbers. And that's the piece. Because of the interfeeds, the interfaces, the APIs, everything's feeding into one very easy to use, simple interface where you can pull all your information from.
And where's the market with this now? Is there kind of an understanding of that logic now? Is it at a maturity level that's...
Yeah. So I think there is an understanding of that logic. I think, historically, there were less than a handful of large providers that generally provided this software for large corporates. And we've got a few of them here today with us. And their software is fantastic. But it needs a team to look after it. It needs specialists to manage it. One of the things that we take great pride in at TechnologyOne is that you don't need that big systems accounting team. Just need a system administrator. We do the rest.
Okay. Now, talking about the distinctive component of what you do, I know, of course, yours is a software as a service solution. But I know in your case, you had a plus sign to that. What does that mean?
We do, SAS Plus. So when we look at authorities, they have huge challenges in some key areas around running financial software. So one being support and monitoring, one being regular updates and patches, another being that system implementation. And, you know, we don't need to name local authorities. We can all name local authorities in the UK that have had very, very expensive implementations that have not gone to time. But the difference with us is that you pay one annual fee. For that annual fee, you also get the implementation. We implement that software for you. So we take on that risk. And actually, that's okay, because we do this all the time. So we're quite good at implementing our own software. We're practiced. So that makes a lot of sense. Again, in terms of the support, it's our software. We use it. Even I use our software in my role in TechnologyOne now. You know, we drink our own Kool-Aid is the phrase which is often used. So we're experienced at doing it, at delivering it, at monitoring it, at supporting it. And the idea really is it's not just buying a license. You've got us leaning into you all the time while you're running the software.
Okay, thank you very much. I wonder whether or not you look at West Lindsay from a distance, or I don't know, maybe just checking in with them to see how that particular implementation is going on, because of course you have a personal connection. So
yes, today I've met Pete Davey at the stand, which has been lovely to see him. I think I've been gone 4 months now, so yeah, and I still live locally, so I still see colleagues from the council. But the first question I asked him today, because here we are with 2 days since the killer draft accounts need to be published. The thing which I was desperate to ask him is are we going to publish on time? Not are you? Are we? I'm still not quite there yet. And he said yes, and that that's success in itself. Success in itself is that this software has enabled us to grow our own staff, to promote, to bring in apprentices, to reduce staffing costs, but also to reduce the time it takes to produce accounts, to produce committee reports, to produce monitoring information.
yeah, okay. So I guess it's now a question of advice that you could give to local authorities who are in the middle of maybe evaluating yours or other similar solutions, but of course needing to be very cautious in the procurement process. What should they be putting front of mind? What should they prioritize?
So the Procurement Act has changed things. So we've got to be aware of that. So local authorities moving from most economically advantageous tender to most advantageous tender. What we are seeing in the market is that the price is becoming less important. It's still very important, but less important against the quality of the bid and the quality of the product. And that's the right thing. That there's no point buying something that isn't going to do what it needs to do.
Sure.
But overall, what I would say is, as part of your procurement process or as part of your pre-procurement process, whatever software you are looking at, make sure you have as many demonstrations as possible. And at those demonstrations, get the people there that are going to use it. Encourage the suppliers to provide persona-led demonstrations so that you see what the accountant sees, you see what the service manager sees, you see what the director sees. So you get a real understanding of what it looks like. Talk to other local authorities as well. That's absolutely crucial, and find out what their experiences are. And don't be frightened if things aren't going as well as you want them to. So when I always joke that I had to, when I came, I had to be quite strict with TechnologyOne. I had to say, no, this isn't what we want. What you've done is you've implemented some software with us. It's not you, it's all of us. We've implemented software, and actually we need to get better with this. It's in at 50%, but the real gains to us are going to come at the 50 to the 70% implementation. So be brave, take the next step. Don't think, right, it's in the door, thank goodness for that, I can relax. Do that next bit, because the next bit is where the value really comes.
Okay. I mean, what kind of response have you had on stand over the last 2 days?
We've been really busy. I think being that first stand when you walk in is fantastic. And we've had a really big team here. We've brought all of our local government's pre-sales team here who know the products inside out. So we've had them here all the time so that they can show people whatever they ask for, really. We've also got the account managers here as well, so they can talk to existing customers and we can try and resolve any challenges that we've got. But it has been busy, although we are always busy because we always have a lot of merchandise that people like to collect. So
Oh, okay. What kind of merchandise are we talking here?
So this time we've got TechnologyOne Stanley Cups, we've got selfie lights, and all the standard Post-it notes. We've got cold drinks in a fridge, so people always are quite interested to have a chat over those. And our barista that comes to us at every event we have.
Well, this is the first time I've been here. I must admit, in general and inclusive of your stand, the Onstand merchandise has been pretty spectacular. So, listen, how do people get in touch with you if you want to take the conversation further?
So, our contact details are on G-Cloud Framework if that's the route people are going. But also look at the TechnologyOne LinkedIn page. Lots of information on there. And of course, get directly in contact with me, Emma Foy.
Okay. And I should direct people watching to the series of webinars that PF has been producing in association with TechnologyOne that are on the PF channel now. Anyway, Emma, thank you very much indeed for your time today, and good luck in the rest of your first year.
Thank you very much, Monty.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You've been listening to an episode of our Public Finance Live podcast series, brought to you by the PF editorial team directly from SITFA's 2025 annual conference in Birmingham, England. You can listen to our full series of episodes on the big issues being discussed at this year's conference by searching PF Live wherever you get your podcasts.